Hello and welcome to this week's Mistress M.
Hello.
With special guest stars, Flash. Hello, Flash. Oh, and Angry and Adrian.
Hello.
Now, we talked the other week about fantasies, and I'd been reading this book called Sex and the Psyche by Brett Carr. And we'd had a guy write in and ask, what does his girlfriend fantasize about when she's masturbating when she's away? And we said, well, probably not you. Because this guy did this massive survey of all of Britain, and we know that the Brits are slightly kinkier than the rest of us, but it's probably fairly accurate to say that lots and lots and lots of people fantasise, and lots of people fantasise about people other than their actual partner. So I personally have only had to fantasise about someone else once, because I've only ever been having sex with someone who wasn't my ultimate fantasy at the time. So for me it was a rather bizarre experience, and I only tried it because I'd been reading about fantasies. It works. If you're bored while you're having sex and start thinking about something else more exciting, it's alright. Probably shouldn't have been thinking about racing cars, but I don't know.
Racing cars.
Get to the finish line. You know.
But what was interesting, and I know that I'm not alone in the thing where, you know, us stronger women sometimes when we're, because obviously we all like to masturbate and fantasise when we're masturbating. That's different to when you're having sex. The fantasies you have aren't necessarily indicative of what you do in real life or what you are. They're quite often a mirror image rather instead. So
yeah, I mean, I've had people tell me things that their idea of fantasies and porn is stuff they'd never do. Why bother watching porn that's just stuff they already do? They actually like the weird stuff that they've got no real interest in doing, because it's like, well, you know, there's something different.
For instance, we've got someone here being surprised. All these people wrote in their fantasies on this huge, massive survey. Being surprised by someone who will not take no for an answer. Not rape, but insistent seduction, where he overcomes my protests and makes me want to submit. He would approach me from behind and slide his hands over my body, one on my breast, one on my genitals, firmly. He would kiss and nuzzle along my shoulder and neck and push me carefully to the floor. Carefully to the floor, I like that, where he would undress me and we would have sex. So a lot of women have these rape or forced sex fantasies, but then they go, but it's not, I don't want to be raped. It's not that I want to be raped, I just want it in my fantasy. And they're all very worried that it means that they've got some innate need to be raped. It's not, it's just a fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where you actually get, where you read the funny stories about really wealthy businessmen going to brothels where they dress in babies' clothes and have to wear a nappy and get pushed around. Sometimes it's the complete giving over of authority and whatnot that is people getting into. Whereas actual rape is violence and hurt and nastiness. But role-playing is, you know, getting into dark taboo and giving up power and all that sort of thing. And lots of people are attracted to that as an idea.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, one of the things about why we fantasize, like sometimes we fantasize to have sex with somebody that we'd never be able to have sex with, like, you know, say for instance Johnny Depp. A lot of women will fantasize.
I wouldn't do it again with him. No.
I mean,
is that what you meant?
Yeah, he turned me down.
But after a while, he was all
turned me down. So you know, I can only fantasize about him. But sometimes we fantasize about things that we're trying to work through, and sometimes, like for instance, there's ones where there's this woman pinning the man down and covering his eyes so he can't see his hands, and I do what I like to his body. You know, she might have some little hostility towards men there. She may not, but this may be her way of expressing it.
Jesus, by the by, there's not a huge amount of men who are going to object to that either. I'm just throwing that out there as well.
not really, no.
I like Tristan's here. Reenact homosexual experience from mid-teen school days with mild rape, gangbangs, and group mutual masturbation. I love how they keep qualifying their rape scenes.
Tristan, you're fucked up. Just by
Tristan.
I just want to borrow the page for first. Your name's Tristan. Yeah.
No, that's been changed. I'm pretty sure.
And actually, yeah, reenacting his bloody English boarding school experiences.
See what we mean about
mild rape gangbangs. How the fuck do you have a mild rape gangbang?
I could shave you.
I say, old chap, do you mind? Do you mind if I gangbang you now?
Just like this whole page, I'm just going to divert. This chapter's called Hidden Hostility in the Masturbatory Arena, and the name's chosen are Quisha, Avril, Rupert, Cordelia, Stig, Percival, Tristan.
The Stig!
Yeah, the Stig.
It's the Stig from Top Gear. What's his?
What's the Stig's fantasy?
As in the majority of my fantasy, this involves my ex-partner and is an extension of a memory. We're in a forest and I need a pee. Vanessa asks to watch and says it turns her on. Then she says she needs to go too, but I say she's not allowed and has to hold it. I then tie her naked to a tree and tickle her, a recurring theme in our real and fantasy sex lives, until she cannot contain herself. Once she's finished, we have oral sex.
Okay, fair enough. As you do.
How's he do that with the helmet?
Yeah.
He's got a visor.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, that's where the visor comes up.
But there's still across the...
Maybe he's got a really long tongue. Maybe that's why he got on TV.
Ah, okay.
I went off topic there.
That's all right. But they're very varied.
I reckon it's whoever burns the toast. Oh dear, Tristan, did you burn the toast again? Looks like you're Prince Charming tonight.
Well, don't they shove crumpets in their bottoms or something? I don't know what they do with those.
That was in Blackadder, so I don't know if that really happens.
It's not really.
I thought Blackadder was like an historical document.
I think he is actually recounting a bit of his public school encounters in a lot of that stuff.
I'm pretty sure he would be. Oh, there was one survey in here where they went into what people fantasized about, and as I suspected, here we go. So, sexual fantasies, including concerning group formations. Now, people who fantasized about sex with a man and a woman at the same time, 15%. Sex with 2 or more men, 18%. Sex with 2 or more women, 35% of the totals. But then you break those down. Sex with 2 or more women, only 10% of females fantasize about that, whereas 58% of men do.
Yeah, the other 40% of men are lying.
Sex with 2 or more men, only 8% of men fantasize about that, whereas 28% of women fantasize about that. But I do find it interesting that just overall, sex with 2 or more men, only 18% of the entire population fantasizes about that, whereas sex with 2 or more women, 35%.
Can I just throw in there that's got to be not counting the gay male population, because I reckon more than 8% of the gay male population thinks about having sex with men. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, maybe that's the entire population and there's only 8% of gay men out there.
Yeah,
and not a single straight man actually fantasises about having sex with 2 or more men.
And that's the straight men lying again.
Yeah.
Not as many of them, but they're lying.
But yeah, so the most popular is fantasy of group formations, is the sex with 2 or more women, followed closely by watching 2 or more women having sex, and not followed closely by anything else at all until you get down to being filmed, being watched, and watching a man and a woman.
I like the least popular is watching 2 or more men having sex. The men in sex is inherently ugly, is what they're saying there.
Yeah,
I think they are.
Which I think that's disappointing, because I would tend to find.
You're in the 7%.
Oh yeah, sure, but I could alert you to a few publications, titles even, that would disavow the ugliness of a couple of twinks going hard.
All right. Anyway, so there's a very sensible book, and then there's lots and lots of books that have published women's fantasies.
I do as he says and tell him, good, try and relax, get the mirror and use it slowly. View your whole body, start at your face and describe the skin, move down to your neck, chest and breast, tell me what you see. Good, good, keep going. Over your stomach now and down to your genital area and legs. My stomach is fairly flat, my pubic hair starts up just behind my stomach. It's not very thick and it's brown and curly.
Well,
that's like the most boring clinical explanation of a fantasy.
Yes, my calves are muscular and shaped and my feet are just feet. Well, you're doing very well, he says. Now grab the ice cube. And
now we're getting somewhere.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Yeah, well, I've got one that can beat that one. Lucian. Sometimes when I jerk myself off, I think about, well, you might find this pretty weird, but since you asked, I find it very arousing to think of men in a toilet, all in a row, having bowel movements. There might be 3 guys, all my age, mid-20s, all in suits, in a loo, and for some reason they've left the doors open so I can see all 3 of them. Their trousers and boxers are down around their ankles and I can see them straining their faces. He's actually fat. There's no sex in this. He just gets turned on by the turd coming out of their bum.
Yeah, Lucian, I'm going to back you on that, in that that's pretty weird and disgusting. As a fantasy, fine, you know.
Yeah.
Don't go knocking on cubicle doors saying, can I watch?
That's actually his
Come
sexual
on, man.
fantasy.
it was like, I promised it was going to be the last time, yeah? And you said, whatever, and then you weren't even in that, Johnny, when I was there, and knock, 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 and you said, you promised us the last time, and I didn't think you were even there, and you just hassled me about it, so whatever.
Anyway, so you can get the idea. There are really, 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 really diverse sexual fantasies out there. In fact, there's probably someone who finds...
Executive, for example. I have to travel a lot for work. I often get horny and watch one of those porno movies on the hotel telly afterwards. I imagine someone lying down on top of me. I don't care what sex is. I'm so hard. If it's a man, I feel his cock sink between my buttocks as he lowered his weight. With a woman, the soft tickle of her pubic hair on my ass just before her loins and hips envelop me.
Fair enough.
So anyway, there's a lot of variation in sexual fantasy out there. Not always a good idea to enact your sexual fantasies, even if they aren't weird and scary and involve sadomasochistic, bloody kind of stuff. Sometimes just because fantasies can be more fun and the reality can just be sticky and gooey and messy. And
yeah, it is. It's called fantasy for a reason. It's an escape, and the reality can be a lot more drudgy than
Have you ever noticed how chick armour on fantasy movies isn't actually very good? It's like it
wouldn't actually protect you.
Wouldn't protect you very much at all.
And see, for those of you out there for whom AIDzee is your masturbatory kind of lock-in...
And I've got the messages from you, okay? I know who you are.
We know you're out there. The fantasy of having sex with Adrian may possibly be better than the reality.
Probably not.
Hey, see what I did there? Anyway, look, either way, whatever your fantasy is, it's fine as long as, it stays as a fantasy, no matter how weird or creepy it is.
Yeah, something you don't act on almost can't be too weird.
Yeah.
But zombies, right, they don't feel pain anyway.
No, I've seen... Our favourite writer, Warren Ellis, has a zombie orgy scene in one of his comics. We're all sort of tearing each other apart while... Yeah. So, it's Rule 40...
40...
Whatever.
48. Rule 48.
The point is, there is nothing you can think of and fantasise about that hasn't been thought of and fantasised about someone else. I mean, specifically. But then again, at the same time, there's also the fact that fantasies can be a trial. So, people like Jeffrey Dahmer and other serial killers did have fantasies, sexual fantasies, before they went and perpetrated the acts that they did. So if your fantasy is really disturbing and you start feeling the need to actually act on it, then please go and see someone and get some help.
Yeah. That's fantasies by yourself. Wanting to act out bad fantasies, that's when you go to someone else.
So fantasies are good. Some fantasies you can try acting out with your partner and you can try expressing with your partner, but just stay safe. Stay safe, stay healthy, and don't expect fantasy to live up to the reality to live up to fantasy necessarily.
Just make your reality as good as you could get it.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And if that means having to fantasise while you're doing it, hey, that works too.
Yes. So yes, stop freaking out about your fantasies. You're fine.
Yeah. And they can be fun. They can be lots of fun.
Yeah. Are you looking at me in the sex way, Flash?
I was about to say, if your fantasy is to be watched by a black cat, we got that covered.
Hey Flash, did you wanna
Flash?
Uncle AIDzee's getting you something special.
Alright, we'll let that go and we'll say goodbye for now.
Alright, have a wonderful, safe Christmas and
yeah, I know.
Bye. Love yourself, touch yourself and think nice things while you're doing it.
Check it out, Flash man. Yeah man. Hey Flash man.